From the patient files of Dr. William Wickman, director of Hillbrook Insane Asylum. Patient number 048, Vladimir Oxtopher, also known as Bosspire. Is that supposed to be a pun?
Excuse me?
Nothing. White male, age 32. White hair, dyed black. Red eyes due to albinism. 6'1", 145 pounds. Patient suffers from clinical vampirism, also known as Renfield syndrome. The belief to be a vampire, coupled with the consumption of blood.
It's not belief. It's true. I am a vampire.
The patient's most notable physical attribute is his albinism, most likely one of the driving factors behind his delusion. We're here to find out what the other factors are. After all, a simple case of albinism doesn't usually lead to drinking blood and talking like Bela Lugosi.
I take great insults to your remarks, Dr. Wickman. Dr. Blood never talks to me like that. Where is he anyway? Why are you here?
Ah yes, Dr. Hayden Blood, your regular doctor. I don't know why I assigned a guy named Blood to you. Anyway, as director of this asylum, it is my duty to check in on all patients from time to time, even the ones who aren't mine. See how your progress is doing. Get to know you.
You want to get to know me?
Absolutely, Vladimir.
First, you might start by showing me respect. Do you even realize who I am?
Of course I do, Vladimir. You're rather infamous, after all. One of the city's biggest crime lords. Well, former biggest crime lords.
Beg your pardon?
Well, I mean, ever since you were admitted to Hillbrook, your empire has been crumbling.
What makes you think that?
One can't run a criminal empire from an insane asylum.
Tell that to the late, great Burnham Weiss.
That was a different time.
We had a lot in common, me and Weiss. He was a vampire too, you know. I speak to his ghost.
So, anyway...
We are the undead. His methods were very crude, however. I never bite people in neck, like wild animal.
Yes. So, session 1. Tell me how you're feeling today, Vladimir.
Feeling? I feel thirsty.
It says here in your files that you refuse to drink anything, not even water.
Water is poison to me. I need that crimson liquid of life. I need blood. But you refuse to offer.
Well, we can't exactly offer blood to the patients. I see Dr. Blood made the wise decision to put you on IV drip.
Weiss, it poisons me.
Hardly. It's the only thing that's keeping you alive, Vladimir. You should be thankful.
I understand Dr. Blood's concern. I know you don't believe me, that I am not vampire. But it doesn't change fact. I will die if I don't get the blood.
You won't, trust me.
I don't trust you, Wickman. You come off as slimy worm.
Well, that's not very nice to say, now is it? So, you say biting people in the neck is crude. How did you get your blood then?
The civilized way. My crew and I robbed blood banks.
Yes, that's right. I seem to remember reading about that in the papers. You hit so many blood banks there are barely any left in the city. They were too afraid to remain operational.
Which makes it harder for me to get my blood.
Not to mention the ramifications it had on our city's healthcare. People who need blood transfusions aren't getting it.
People need blood. I need blood.
Besides the blood bank robberies, you were involved in many other criminal activities too. One could say more mundane ones. Racketeering, drug trafficking, solicitation of prostitution. These activities were your bread and butter. One could say your blood bank heists were more of a hobby.
Hobby? They were a necessity.
Biting people is savage, you say. Yet, 2 years ago you beat Tony Scarletti, a rival criminal, to death with a baseball bat. Wasn't that savage?
That was completely different. That was business. Tony was, how you say, moving in on my territory on behalf of the Scarletti mob. I made an example of him. Scared him off. Like I said, business.
I see. So, it was business, too, when you massacred 10 members of the Lady Dead mob, impaled on spikes and displayed out on the street for everyone to see.
Of course it was. And don't mention that filthy witch.
Yes, your rivalry with Lady Dead was quite intense. Shook the entire city for a while. She's here too now, in Hillbrook, but you probably knew that.
We try to kill each other every day. So what do you think?
And just how does she try to kill you? With holy water? A stake through your heart?
You think this is all funny?
No, not at all. But if you truly are a vampire, aren't those the ways to kill you? Bullets and knives won't hurt you, will they? So why would you be afraid of someone coming after you with a shiv?
I don't recall saying I was afraid.
Sunlight. Because of your albinism, you must be sensitive to sunlight. But Vladimir, that is only natural. It doesn't mean you're a vampire.
I am not albino. I am Nosferatu.
According to the files, you haven't told Dr. Blood a whole lot about your childhood.
What is there to tell?
All we know is you were born to Russian immigrants. You grew up in a poor neighborhood. Your parents died when you were young. You spent many years in orphanages, but then ran away at the age of 17. It is then presumed you lived on the streets, and then eventually entered a life of crime. Care to elaborate on any of this?
No.
Why not? Like, for instance, when did the vampirism come into play?
I don't wish to discuss it. Certainly not to you.
To Dr. Blood, then?
Maybe, someday.
Is there anything you want to tell me?
Get me blood to drink.
Besides that. Well, if you feel that way and aren't going to talk to me, I guess there's no point in us going on.
There is not.
Right. Very well.